Greetings in the Lord. My name is Father Tom Legere, and welcome to our continuing series on the spiritual journey. We're coming to you this evening from the Vasey Theater at Villanova University. Most of us work real hard at our spiritual lives. However, for 1/3 of our lives, we don't work very hard at all, and that is the time when we're sleeping. Has it ever occurred to you that perhaps God can communicate to us at that time too? That's what we're going to be speaking about tonight, the role of dreams on our spiritual journey. All of you who are there in the audience will have an opportunity to ask questions a little bit later on. And we'll be getting ready shortly, but first of all, let's take a break.
The tragedy of child abuse takes many forms, from verbal assaults to hurtful blows, but it is preventable and we all have a role to play. If you know of a parent having difficulty, reach out, sit down and talk. And if you're having difficulty, get help for yourself. Talk to a friend. Sign up for a parenting class. Take time out. Don't take it out on your child.
Contact the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse.
Isn't it amazing that we spend so little time and effort concentrating on something that all of us do, and that is dream? There are probably a few people out there tonight who are thinking to themselves, "Oh, I never dream." Well, the fact of the matter is, everybody dreams every night. Apparently, we dream from 4 to 7 times each night. The reason that we know for sure that this is taking place is that we are able to observe the REMs, the rapid eye movement. The eyes begin to go back and forth, and that is a sure signal that the person is involved in dreaming. So we all dream every night. And if we are open to the fact that God can communicate to us while we are awake, then doesn't it also make sense to believe that perhaps God can also communicate to us when we are asleep? In the early days of the church, there was no doubt that this was the case. In fact, when we go back to the scriptures, we can even see the importance of dreams there. For example, with St. Joseph, when he is told to marry Mary, that was in a dream. When he is told to flee to Egypt, that's in a dream. When he's told to return home from Egypt, that is in a dream. So the early church had no problem at all believing in the fact that God could communicate to people while they were sleeping. But somewhere along the way, we seem to have lost that sense. And the church originally had a real vested interest in helping people interpret their dreams because, after all, the church could bring its spiritual resources to bear on whatever question the person was asking. But somewhere along the way, we started thinking that dreams didn't make any sense at all. There are a lot of people today who will tell you that either they don't dream or the only time they dream is when they've had a pizza before they go to bed at night. So consequently, it seems that we have come to trivialize the important role of dreaming. And the church, which originally was so interested in the role of dreams, in a sense abdicated its interest to psychology. Now, that's okay if the psychologist that you're working with and helping you interpret your dreams happens to have a spiritual perspective. But you and I know that oftentimes that's not the case at all. Oftentimes, the psychologist, in fact, would go out of his or her way to try to disassociate any kind of spiritual meaning that you might think might be there in any of your dreams. And so it seems to me that we are at a crossroads now, and we are beginning to focus our interest on this most important time of our day, namely when we are asleep and when we are dreaming. I think the church had good reason for steering people away from dream interpretation. Obviously, what can very easily happen is that you can interpret your dreams wrongly, and then you get into all kind of trouble. You start getting confused and all mixed up. And the laity at one time, of course, were very uneducated. But that's not the case anymore. We have a very educated laity, and I think that it's time for us to reclaim our spiritual interest in dreams. It is time for us as a church to once again start asking ourselves, what is the meaning of this thing that we do every single night of our lives? What I'd like to do right now is run through some of the types of dreams that we all have. One type of dream we have is that helps us make some sense out of the preceding day. It helps us to sort out the confused contents of the things that have happened to us. And oftentimes you wake up in the morning and you know what decision you're supposed to make. I'm sure we've all had the advice given to us, well, why don't you sleep on it? Well, there's good wisdom behind that, because sometimes the ego mind, the logical mind, doesn't know what to do. But when you take a confusing problem and you put it down in the unconscious, then oftentimes the meaning is given to us. Another role of our dreams is that it helps us get in touch with the repressed areas of our own psyche. There are a lot of things that we can't face consciously because we're too scared to face it. Our violence, our sex drives, our lack of forgiveness, a lot of things that we can't really face, so we press it down. And while we're asleep, then the unconscious takes all that, sifts it around, and helps us deal with it in a constructive way. The third thing I have listed here is other people, and I have an asterisk there before that number because I think this is very, very important in helping to interpret dreams. Almost all the time, the different figures, the different people who are in our dreams represent aspects of us. It's not really that we're dreaming about that particular person or this particular situation. That's what scares us so much about our dreams, because we have some really wild dreams, especially when they involve sexuality, and we really can't face those things consciously. But if you understand that it needs to be interpreted symbolically, and all the people in the dream represent a different part of us, then it's a little easier, I think, to make some sense out of things. Occasionally we have archetypal dreams in which we will be given images like a child or a wise old man or a wise old woman or a young maiden. When those things happen to us, it is clear to us that we are involved in very, very deep dreams that have profound meaning for our own spiritual growth. And then there are extrasensory dreams too, times in which we get a communication from somebody else on a very deep level. I'm sure many of us have had experiences like that ourselves, or perhaps we know people who have had such experiences. I can think of one old woman I used to take communion to, who during World War II had a dream in which her son was telling her that he had been wounded. And she woke up in the middle of the night and woke her husband up, and of course he appreciated that. And she wanted to tell him that she knew that her son had just been wounded. And he said, "How do you know that?" And she said, "Because I just got the message in a dream." And he said, "Get back to sleep and don't worry me with this kind of foolishness." Well, wouldn't you know, within a couple weeks, they got message from her son that, in fact, he had been wounded on the precise night that she had that dream. So these are the kind of things that happen to us for sure. Occasionally, we also have a numinous dream, which means we get a message from God. But before we make too much out of that and start assuming that God has spoken to us every night, you can imagine the delusions of grandeur that sometimes take place that way. Realize that most times, 99% of the time, our dreams are really just about ourselves. It's all about the communication of ourselves to ourselves. When we come back, we are going to have an opportunity to look at some of the guidelines that we can use in interpreting dreams. Be right back.
Oh, I haven't seen this in years.
Grandma, who's that? Is that great-grandpa and grandma?
Yes, it is. And that's Ellis Island. Your great-grandparents worked very hard to get there.
Why'd they come here?
Well, like many immigrants, they wanted to fulfill their beliefs and dreams.
About God?
About many things, especially God.
Religious freedom. A message from your Catholic neighbors.
And now it's time for us to discuss some of the guidelines that we can use in interpreting our dreams. This is crucial because if one misinterprets one's dreams, one can become all confused and anxious. One of the first things we need to do in helping ourselves interpret our dreams is get in the habit of writing your dreams down as soon as you wake up in the morning. Research has shown that 95% of our dreams not recorded in the first 5 minutes are forgotten. Have you ever had that experience? You wake up and you tell yourself, I'll never forget this one. And then 5 minutes later, it's gone. So if you're really serious about this thing, have a book right by your bedside with a pen there. And the first thing you do, flip on that light, get out of bed, real careful so you don't lose it, and just write down an outline of the dream. You don't have to write down all the details. Don't worry about the fact that you can only remember one or two things. Sometimes the things that you can remember are really the most important things for you to remember anyhow. So get in the habit of writing things down as soon as you wake up. Secondly, take seriously our dreams. A lot of people out there tell us that dreams make no sense whatsoever. I mentioned before that some people claim the only time they dream is when they eat pizza before they go to bed. A lot of people give about that much import to the dreams. And consequently, I think this has infected our thinking also. So consequently, if you're really going to give this thing a fair shot, tell yourself you're going to take it seriously. Actually send that message to your unconscious before you go to bed at night. Tell yourself, what I am about to do is important, and I am perhaps going to get some information that's going to help me to grow spiritually. So when you send that message down, it registers, and then it's easier for you to wake up in the morning and write the things down. One then, of course, has to learn to understand the images. And it's crucial here not to take the images literally. For example, you could have a dream about a war going on, and somebody might wake up in the morning and say, oh, I was given a message that we're about to go to war. It doesn't mean that at all. Remember before I said the dream is always about yourself. So there is probably a message being given to you that there is some kind of an inner conflict that is going on in your personality, and it manifests itself as a war that is taking place. Ask yourself, who are the people who are in this war? What's it all about? What part of me do these individuals who are in the war represent? You could also look at the image, for example, of a dance. What that is a symbol of the coming together of the masculine and the feminine, the celebration of the different parts of our own personality. The same thing goes with a big area of anxiety associated with dream interpretations, and that is sex. If people have dreams about sex, a lot of times they get real anxious and upset because perhaps they are having sex with somebody that they're not married to. And they start wondering, is this telling me about some fantasies that I'm really harboring towards another individual? The dreams about sex are really not about sex. They're about the coming together in union, once again, of the male and the female parts of ourselves. So that male or that female that you're involved with in your dream represents the contrasexual dimension of yourself. It represents either the masculine part of yourself that you need to get in touch with or the feminine part that you need to get in touch with. So don't worry about any anxiety associated with that. One could have the image, for example, of a classroom. Whenever you have that, lots of people have dreams like that. Things that take place in school. What that means is there's a message here. You are about to be given a lesson. And it uses the symbolism, the imagery of a classroom to wake you up to the fact that a message for your own learning is about to be given here. It's also important for us to watch repetitions. Have you ever had dreams that occur more than once? A lot of people have had that. What that means, very simply, is that we haven't yet got the message. And so the unconscious really wants to keep coming back time and time again until we get the message. And the funny thing is, once we do get the message, then that's the last time we have the dream again. So watch that dream. Try to write that one down. Do some research on that one, because chances are if you have one that keeps coming back to you time and time again, that is a really important one for your own growth. I know people who have had the same dream over a period of years. Not just months, but maybe 10 or 20 or 30 years. The same dream keeps coming back with a slight variation. So that means there is a big lesson they haven't yet learned. And for your own well-being then, for your own spiritual growth, find out what that meaning is and hook onto it. And then it's important for us to find a good, trustworthy friend to help us interpret our dreams. You don't have to go to an expert. There is a tribe down in South America called the Senoi people who have zero history of mental illness. And you know what their secret is? Every morning, everybody in the tribe tells their dreams to one another. From the littlest children to the oldest adults, everybody shares their dreams. So if you just have somebody that you can really trust, a husband, a wife, a friend, and once they can get beyond the literalness here, and they don't take all these things literally, then you can share with them and help one another in your growth together. There are a couple of major dream images that a lot of us have. One is the dream of falling and falling and falling through space. You ever had that one? That means one of two things. It means either you're out of control in your life, or it means you need to get out of control in your life. See, now that strikes us as rather strange, doesn't it? Because in America, everybody wants to be in control. But the fact of the matter is we never get anywhere spiritually until we give up control. So this may be a message from God through our unconscious telling us to let go and let God and quit trying to manipulate and hold on to things. Another big image that we have is that of the sea or the ocean. Have you ever had dreams like that? People will have a dream that they're going down once, twice, 3 times. The unconscious is a symbol that has a lot of meaning because it is there that we're talking about depth. And the ocean is very much involved with our unconscious. So when you're dealing with that, you're really dealing with the deeper dimensions of ourself and the deeper things that need to be changed. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of questions that you have about dreams, and we're going to have an opportunity to go over those dreams, and we'll be coming right back.
Susan has been kidnapped by her own father.
Hi, Daddy.
He thought he was doing the right thing, but now...
This is like being in jail.
If you're on the run and you're looking for a way out, call 1-800-A-WAY-OUT, a special hotline for people just like you. We're not the police or the government. We're Child Find, people who care and want to help.
Who are you talking to, Daddy?
A friend?
Call 1-800-A-WAY-OUT.
Okay, everybody. Now for the best part, questions and answers. Yes, ma'am.
I've had many arguments with people as to whether we dream in color. I know that I have dreamed in color. I wonder if we do actually, and what is its significance?
Apparently, some people dream in color, some dream in black and white. I know I dream in black and white. Does that mean I'm dull? I don't know. So far, I haven't yet been able to discover any particular symbolism about that. But it is true that some indeed have technicolor dreams, and some of us just have boring black and white dreams. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Father, there was one of your notations was watch repetitions. I have a repetition of a dream that I've had for years and years, which is beautiful. I'm dancing and dancing to my heart's content. Should I worry about that?
No. That's
Why do you say watch repetitions?
Well, because perhaps that is telling you that there is, in fact, a harmony going on inside yourself. Or perhaps it is telling you that you need to have harmony inside yourself between the male and the female. It depends very much on the individual. And usually it's only the individual who knows whether the dream is celebrating, in that context, a unity that already exists or a unity that needs to take place. So you would have to think about that one and pray about that one, and you would probably know whether or not you are really in harmony with the masculine part of yourself. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Yes, Father, my wife is always dreaming, and I'm never dreaming. At least if I do dream, I don't remember having dreamed. So where exactly does that leave me?
That leaves you with a lot of people who don't remember their dreams. And the first thing you said was that my wife dreams, but I don't dream. And that's really not accurate, because we can say with certitude that everybody dreams every night. So the situation is you just don't remember your dreams. And maybe you don't remember them because, along with a lot of people, you've been schooled to believe that they're frivolous. They're not really significant. Maybe you've never really made that mental commitment to take them seriously. Maybe you've never really had a notebook there. There could be a lot of reasons. Another reason that you might not remember them is you might wake up with an alarm clock that just jars you. And if you want to forget a dream real quickly, have an alarm clock go off or a clock radio, and sometimes you blow it completely. That's why a lot of people tend to actually remember dreams better when they're waking up from a nap, or perhaps on a Saturday morning when they don't have to get up. They just ease out of that deep slumber into the dream state, into the awake state. So the question is not, do in fact you dream, because I know you do, we all do. The question is, how can you work towards remembering your dreams? Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, Father. Having had a let go of a particular or a negative behavior pattern or a detrimental behavior pattern for a number of years, and all of a sudden having a dream of participating in that negative behavior pattern, I wake up sometimes with a feeling of fear plus gratitude that I know I actually live the pain of participating in that negative behavior. But then again, when I wake up, I'm glad it was only a dream, and I can also get in touch with how it was during that episode or the time period in my life when I was acting out that negative behavior. How would you interpret that dream? As a godsend or a something really to look into?
Well, in a sense, ultimately, they're all God-sent. It's just that most of our dreams have to do with the different issues that we're working on. And perhaps what that is saying is that while you don't have the negative pattern of behavior anymore in your life, maybe the issue that was behind the negative pattern of behavior is something you're still working on. And it manifests itself by dramatically portraying that old negative behavior. But that's no longer the issue. The issue is really, what was that undealt with business deep inside myself that is manifesting itself now in this kind of negative behavior in my dream. Okay, you're welcome. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Father, how would you interpret a recurring dream of one swimming, and especially if that person can't swim, and many times it's in dirty water?
Okay, very interesting. Dr. Freud, are you in the house here? Remember I said that a body of water is a symbol of the unconscious. So the fact that you are swimming means you are partially immersed in it and yet partially above it. You're almost like an amphibian. So you're in touch with your depths, but yet you're still trying to breathe that air that is above the water. And we all have some muddy water that we swim in. And the trick, I guess, is not to drown in it. And if we have the right spiritual resources at our behest, namely our faith, then we can handle anything. We can go through the muddy water and we're not going to drown in it. So it indicates that you are able then to navigate through some of the murkiness of the unconscious that all of us have, while at the same time not falling victim to it and drowning in it. That's about all the time that we have for questions and answers tonight. Certainly, we all have a lot to work on here because we all dream every night. And the next time we get together, we will be jumping into a much larger picture, and that will be some of the practical steps of spiritual growth that all of us can take in our daily lives. Dreams is only one of 12 that we will be examining. If you enjoy the kind of shows that we're doing here like this, we ask you to drop us a line at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, Philadelphia, PA, 19103. That's room 907. And we'd like to thank the audience tonight for all of their participation, and we'd like to thank everyone who was tuned in tonight, and we'd like to leave everyone with the same simple message tonight, and that is pleasant dreams.
Praise the Lord. I'm Father Ralph Chifo from the Charismatic Office. Jesus assures us, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And each week at a charismatic prayer group, we experience through sharing, singing, and learning the joy of knowing the Lord with us. Become one of us and all of our brothers and sisters in prayer and the joy of learning about Christ's death and resurrection. Contact us at 668-HOPE.